Final case of Ace Attorney Chronicles. We are at the beginning of the trial. Hi-oh, Serp. Sorry, I missed streaming on Tuesday. I miss a lot of streams these days. It is unfortunate. I had, like, time to stream was coming up, and I was like, I mean, take a small nap, because I seem to be tired, and I slept for, like, 2 hours. That, and I think I probably am, like, thoroughly burnt out on this game. It was too much Phoenix Wright for one year. How long have I been playing this? Since the beginning of the year, almost, I think. Oh, it's car alarm. I'm like, what is that noise? It's car alarm. So we had just started her testimony. I don't think I pressed on anything yet. All the other texts are supposed to follow orders. No, actually I did press on some of these, and I think I didn't know. I was stumped. I was like, let's just end the stream. Yeah, I didn't pop into either of their streams. I did see Azalea's streaming, and then for some reason this morning I woke up at like 6 a.m. and was like, so let me go over onto the computer, and then, you know, was up for like an hour, and then went back to bed and slept for another 6 hours. But yeah, I didn't pop into either of their streams, but I did see that they are streaming. I also, I saw Marstead is playing Heaven's Vault. And that's a game that I had actually meant to go and play through a second time offline, but never got around to it, like everything. Right, so let's press on everything. So you follow orders, do you, Gina? Nah, not me. I'm above all that, see? Oh. The boss always had special orders for me. Grab us some fish and chips, or go and give Toby his grub, that kind of thing. So errands more than orders, then. This detective is still an apprentice, after all. Yeah, well, this apprentice ain't one to sit around and wait to be told what to do, even by the boss. That's why I've been doing my own investigations into what happened. I didn't find much at first. Search of the boss's office. Notebook. Secret meetings. So you went through Inspector Gregson's things? Yup, as part of the the independent Lestrade investigation. Sure, your superiors would be delighted that you're taking the initiative. So, I snuck into his office when no one else was about. Oh, really? Yeah, sure, I'll come. On Sargatanis, obviously. So, yeah, that would be nice. Thank you. I was about to say something else, too, and then I forgot. Oh, Twitch. The whole, like, there's Twitch news, right? Twitch is reducing the cut that partners and affiliates get on tier 2 and tier 3, which doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't affect a lot of people, but it is one of those things where it's like, what the hell, Twitch? And then on top of that, they're going to do something more with ads, which I already hate more than anything imaginable. And just every single thing that I hear about them changing with no, I've been to one wedding, so I already have them, but I'll attend anyway. I'll get you something nice, if I feel like it. Like, I guess, I mean, as is always the case, people are talking about, like, is Twitch going to implode? Is Twitch actually going to go under, and like, people are going to jump ship to either YouTube or Facebook streaming. Like, there's still no good alternative. But if there was, I would like to get off of Twitch. The only thing that's good about Twitch is the chat, like the emotes. That there's so many emotes built into Twitch that people like. The fact that there's like Frankerface and BTTV are add-ons that everyone has, so you can use those emotes. And compared to YouTube has emotes, I guess, but they're too small. The chat sucks and it's too small on YouTube. If YouTube would fix its chat, I would probably switch over to streaming on YouTube. But it's just bad. And you can't I don't think I can use Chatty with YouTube, because I don't think it's IRC based. This is sounding less and less like an investigation, and more like something else. The prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook. Yeah, and that makes sense. That is what happens when there isn't enough competition. That's why competition is good, because without it, they're Amazon. Twitch is owned by Amazon, and Amazon is good at being the only guy in the room in terms of a bunch of stuff, and now streaming too, where it's like, yeah, there's until YouTube. The thing is, though, YouTube is so gigantic. Like, YouTube is also there's no competition in terms of like video. There's seemingly nowhere else that people upload video to going, oh yeah, this is a great alternative to YouTube, said no one ever about any website. You got that right. Nothing gets past Inspector Lestrade and her trusty assistant, Chief Inspector Toby. We found it hidden in one of the desk drawers that had a false bottom. That's impressive. So then, I went to hide myself where no one could find me, so I could have a butcher's of what was written in it. Because if anyone in the yard had found me out, they'd have turfed me straight out onto the street. I've given it in now, though, ain't I? And if it weren't for me, it would never have been found. Apparently, the smuggled goods held by a gentleman's club called the Grouse. The Grouse? What sort of a club is that? I ain't got the foggiest. Clubs ain't exactly my thing. But I am kinda curious. They're not places where a foreign student like you would be readily admitted. Have you looked in the mirror recently? I tell you what, me and Chief Inspector Toby could go in undercover. Could you, though? I could pick out a few good marks and see what else I could find when I was in there. Really don't think you should go picking out anything. Anyway, that's where these black market dealings were going to take place, is it? Yeah, it's gotta be. That's what the lower ranking detectives at the yard reckon. Says the even lower ranking detective. So how had Inspector Gregson come to find out about it in that case? That's the question, ain't it? But I'm just an apprentice, so... And why didn't he inform Scotland Yard of his findings? Yeah, that's what I was asking myself, cause, you know, I'm just an apprentice. When it suits you, yes. Anyway, the point is, something went on at that club, no question. Can't say that for certain, though, surely. What matters most is the witnesses saw the replays too. Lord Van Zeeks was at the club? He was. Detectives who visited the club yesterday to make inquiries have confirmed it. Several members report having seen the accused being admitted to the room in question as a guest. Looks like there's no disputing that he was there then. Well, we know that Lord Van Zeeks was investigating Inspector Gregson, don't we? Perhaps he'd already discovered the Inspector's secret notebook. Which led him to the club, you mean? Maybe. Presumably, then, there are also eyewitnesses who can testify that Gregson was there. None have been identified at this time, no. So the all-important victim wasn't seen at this mysterious club. Oi, why aren't you asking Inspector Lestrade here, then? So that's all I've got to work with. Gina's not holding back with that ice-cold stare of hers, is she? I really don't know what to make of all this. Lord Van Zieks told us he was investigating Inspector Gregson, but he never once mentioned that he met the inspector the day before the incident. You don't think Lord Van Zieks could have been lying to us, do you? It's not the only way to explain this. Oh, if everything Lord Van Zieks has told us is true, then there must be a mistake in this testimony somewhere. You mean, there are details we've yet to uncover? Exactly. A clue, perhaps, that even Gina hasn't noticed. That's what we should be looking for here. Alright, so I suppose we're going to say that he did not go to the club. So the thing that said he was spotted at the club, what can I present that will disprove that? Oops. Got a lot of evidence here. This was kind of a terrible place for me to have left off. A lot of evidence that has nothing to do with the current question. Some of these articles relating to the Reaper. Boom. I think if they're at a part where they wanted me to do something with the Lucky Charm, that, well, I can inspect it, actually, can't I? Let's tug the ears right now. See what happens. What a charming little rabbity version of Mr. Sholmes. Do you suppose this is how Iris sees him? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Your eyes are veritably boring into the poor doll's ears. Oh, sorry, I was just wondering, what do you suppose would happen if I were to tug its ears with all my might right now? I'm sure that we'll find out when the time is right. To become a proper gentleman, you really must learn stoic patience. But I want to know. Alright, so it's something where I'm not going to present it. I'm going to actually tug its ears at some point. Not like the Reaper is like blurry in the background, clinging to one of the walls or anything. No. All the young detectives have to follow orders and investigate what they're told. A little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. The smuggled goods deal was going to happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse, so it looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet. What matters most is witnesses that saw the Reaper at the place, too. I've looked at this before, right? Passport. So I guess the date on the passport, that doesn't mean that the Reaper wasn't there, but definitely do not have an answer for this. I guess we start losing health. I have... Oh, nice! Finished with the big translation project that has been kept you occupied for the past 6 months. Was it for a game? I don't remember if you said, or if you could say. Might be an NDA involved. This isn't relevant.
Objection!
Hearsay? No. Whatever fate befalls you in here, no, you die in the game, you die in real life. Okay, acknowledged. Ooh, okay, cool.
Hold it!
Oh, why did I press? That's not what I wanted. That's alright. I'll live. I am patient. You wanna try? I tried the passport. I have got nothing here. What?
Objection!
Ah, alright. Enjoy your Elden Ring. Oh, you could span the Straits of Dover with those wide eyes. My goodness. Do you want me to fill the English Channel with tears? With sad gamer tears? Thank you. Not the pocket watch, surely. How in the world am I... Maybe this is wrong. Maybe this is not the thing that I'm disproving right now. The coppers weren't onto it yet. Is that something that we don't think is true? Did the police know about the smuggling? was gonna happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse. I can't deny that. Right? Turned up a notebook that had secret meetings in it? Sure. I mean, is it just this? Like, I'm gonna present the board to say, hey, obviously he was investigating something he wasn't told to?
Objection.
Nope. I mean, this passport puts everything into question, right? That he had a document that said that the day before, the day that this was supposedly going down, that he was supposed to be in France, but present it here, no. No, maybe the passport somewhere else. Oh, I already tried the passport here. Like, shouldn't we be able to say, like, hey, bring the witnesses up then? I mean, this actually is objection hearsay. Although, no, I asked the question, so I'm not supposed to object to it. I would instead ask that it be stroken from the record. I haven't had to do this yet. I think I am just going to have to look it up. Because there's way too many things to sit here and brute force it. Well, no, wait. I'll try one more so that I can have all my health back from dying.
Objection.
It's not that. Dong. No. All the fireballs at once. He was saving all of his fireballs for the final boss, and then he used them all. What was this called? The Victims Movement? Oh, this is for adventures. This is the wrong one. I'm past that part. I'm past that part. Press on It's the ticket? Oh, hey, Shub. I was just looking up the answer to this one because I was very stumped. And yeah, I was going to stream on Tuesday, but had to cancel the stream. So I've streamed very little of this. We are still at this part. Let me press on this just to make sure. Wait, I went through and pressed on everything. What is this? Oh, right, because I just died and reloaded. I just died and reloaded, so we need to redo this. She shows off her reading skills. The grouse. Okay, and I am now supposed to present this, because written on the other side is a... This is some sort of steamship ticket. The SS Grouse. The SS Grouse, first class cabin 001. Yokohama departure, 11th September. London arrival, 1st November. Ah, that's the boat that Professor Mikotoba and Judge Jioku came on from Japan, isn't it? Yes, I think it called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for a night before finally arriving in Dover. I think it's almost been a year since we arrived in Dover on the SS Berea. It seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think? Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary, and I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh, well, how strange. Where could it have gone? Are you like this on purpose? Did I imagine it, or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? So they don't even, like... This is very, very... This is out of line with how Phoenix Wright normally works, but I guess that's fine. Nowhere in the updated description of this letter of introduction does it say the SS Grouse. You're supposed to examine it and see that it says, okay, the ship is called the SS Grouse, and that now contradicts what she was saying about, it was at a club called the Grouse. Whoops, present. Although, where did we... This isn't even his... Who wrote this? From... Yeah, her dad wrote this. This doesn't even have anything to do with... what's his name?
Objection!
I've read about these clubs that exist here in Britain. As I understand it, there are places where well-to-do gentlemen socialize with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine for a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted. Seriously, is your mirror cracked or something? Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at a club called the Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean that the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on 31st October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards our country's police force there, Counsel. If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? A steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it right here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. The other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. This would appear to be a ticket for passage upon a steamship. Yes. The SS Grouse.
Objection!
So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club. But I'm afraid to say, there's a flaw in your logic there. How? Look at the ticket. Notice the date of arrival in port. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on 1st November. The day on which the sound like a gunshot was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, 31st October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission, that ship hadn't yet docked on British shores. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging.
Objection!
The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. Then show your evidence for that assertion. Very well. In that case, counsel for the defense, present your evidence to the court now. Evidence that substantiates your claim that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on 31st October. Okay.
Take that!
What is this? A passport for travel issued to the victim? Dated 31st October. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there's a distinct possibility he wasn't even in the country. Order. Order. This document is for passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized. The day before the SS Grouse arrived at Dover, it docked on the northern coast of France for a night. According to my father, who was on board, at the port of Dunkirk. Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? I'm impressed, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I certainly didn't expect you to get your hands on that passport. What? You mean you knew about this? The prosecution's strategy for this trial has been laid down by the Crown Prosecution Office. On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations, and the line the prosecution has been asked to follow. But personally, I don't agree. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something. What? And now that you've expertly disproven their assertion, I intend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, Prosecutor Asugi? A courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord. And you can't handle the truth. Which is why it's my duty to present all the facts without exception. Let me guess, this was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Inspector Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on the day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper. The Reaper? You're gonna break your unicorn. What on earth are you saying, counsel? The prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. But in reality, the truth is the opposite of that. What? Inspector Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper. So, you're saying the mission he was undertaking was, obviously, an assassination. Barak von Zieks never carried out any of the actual killings. Whenever the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast iron alibi. Not an ironclad alibi? I would have thought that he would just put on some iron clothes, but instead he completely dipped himself in molten iron. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice. And you claim that was Inspector Gregson. What the hell do you think you're saying? My boss would never have done nothing like that. And yet, when you consider all the facts, it all makes perfect sense. I make up whatever words I feel like. All words are made up, didn't you know? No, it can't be. We also arrived at the same conclusion, didn't we? That Inspector Gregson was operating as the Reaper. Even so, there's no way that the person giving him his orders was Lord Van Zieks. No. The true Reaper is somebody else. The Patriots. Barak von Zieks is not the Reaper. A predictable response from someone who's advocating for the man. And even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went aboard the SS Grouse on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. Oh, you have some solid reason for doubting the assertion, do you, Counsel? Absolutely. It's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard that steamship. Professor Mikotoba and Judge Jigoku were on that very ship. If someone had been assassinated, I'm certain we would have heard about it. What are you puffing at? You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported on board the ship. But I think perhaps you've missed the point. That's precisely why Inspector Gregson himself lost his life. What? Gregson did board the SS Grouse that night with the intention of dispatching his mark. But his mission ended in failure. Failure? It seems that the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about? What detail? Inspector Gina Lestrade. What? The victim's notebook that you read an excerpt from earlier. That doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey. You're lying. Even if all them bludgers what got taken out had it coming. The boss weren't the Reaper. Poor Gina. There's no question that Tobias Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activities. You may just be an apprentice, but if you spent any time at Scotland Yard, you must have heard rumors. I ain't heard nothing, and I don't believe a word of it. Then testify again, as a representative of Scotland Yard. Consider it your chance to defend your boss. I don't... I concur. The witness will give a new formal testimony. Miss Lestrade, you will tell the court everything you know about Inspector Gregson's secret notebook. Okay. Yeah, this notebook does have a load of stuff about what the Reaper got up to these past 10 years. Names of victims, dates and places and stuff, and the last entry now was 31st October. It said grouse for the place on that date, and then the name of the mark. There was a note about him being a criminal what got away from the Reaper in court 10 years ago or something. But honest, the boss didn't do none of it. He was just investigating the Reaper, that's all. Keep personal opinion out of your testimony, witness. We require only established fact here. This must be so hard for her. You can't deny it now, surely, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What can't I deny? The notebook contained the name of the final mark, and the location where the assassination would take place. That's information that the victim could only have known if he was working with the Reaper. Ah. So, who was to be this final mark? Go ahead, Inspector Lestrade, read the name for the court. The name that's written alongside the entry that mentions the grouse on 31st October. How'd you read this, then? Reading, still not her strong suit. That ain't the problem, alright, Otto? It's a funny name, it ain't English, it's hard to read. So it's someone from overseas? Let me have a bash at it. Seishiro, is it? Yeah, Seishiro. Jigokyo, maybe. What? It can't be! Seishiro Jigoku? But that's Judge Jigoku! Seishiro Jigoku. Certainly not an English name, you're right.
Objection!
But that can't be right. I know Judge Jigoku, and I saw him the day before yesterday here in London. So I know for a fact the man hasn't been assassinated. As I said, the Reaper failed. Oh. Gregson missed his chance to kill his mark and returned to British shores. But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake, so he killed the inspector. Personally. The Reaper, of course, being the accused, Barak von Zeeks. It's an undeniably logical argument. Kazuma, you planned for the trial to go this way all along, didn't you? He's like, hold it, can I have a glass of wine? Pray, forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollowed chalice while I stand accused of murder. Lord Van Zeeks! The accused has no right to speak uninvited in court. You will return to the dock. I say nothing of whether or not I'm the Reaper. That's the task of this court to decide. But there is one thing! I can say unequivocally. That girl is no detective. What? No, that's right, I ain't. I'm an inspector. Repeating rumors heard around the yard, reading entries from a notebook of unconfirmed origin. That's not testimony, it's practically a script. No doubt the rest of this trial will go down exactly as you've clearly planned. Your hatred of me is understandable. In your mind, I'm sure I am the Reaper who sent your father to the gallows all those years ago. But you're in danger of becoming a far more sinister Reaper yourself by attempting to have me condemned with this feeble excuse for testimony. What did you say? Mr. Naruhodo, this is our chance. My lord, the defense requests that the defendant be allowed to speak. He may be privy to important information relating to the testimony just given by the witness. Very well. I'll make an exception and grant the request. The defendant may remain in the witness stand for the cross-examination. Then allow me to toast the court's impartiality. Don't raise your glass in my direction, sir. Counsel for the defense, begin the cross-examination immediately. At once, my lord. So she already made all the statements, but he's going to react to one of them. Right? Is he over... Is he over there?
Hold it!
In other words, it shows that Gregson was basically acting as the Reaper. Yeah, he's over there. Oh, you get a little face. Not you and all. That ain't the only explanation, is it? He could have been investigating the Reaper in secret, and that notebook said what he found out. If I may. When originally people began referring to me as the Reaper, I didn't object. I believe the power to intimidate London's criminal classes into compliance with the law to be beneficial. But you carried out your own investigations into the true identity of the Reaper, didn't you? Objection. Leading. Yes, and those investigations proved conclusively that Gregson was one arm of the Reaper. One arm? What are you on about? The Reaper's victims were all extremely shrewd criminals at the top of their game. There's simply no way one person could have taken them on alone. The Reaper is an organization. With you at its head? I had spies at the yard keeping me abreast of Gregson's movements, letting me know when he was elsewhere. So I'd been able to check the most recent entry in his book. I knew the location. You knew it said grouse? So wait, there is a gentleman's club called the Grouse? So our... when I presented that steamship, that was not like, objection, that is incorrect and this is correct. It was like, no, there really is a club. Believing it to be a reference to the gentleman's club, I went there on the day in question to investigate, alone. Ah, so that explains why several members of the club claim to have seen you there. But of course, the inspector was not there. Because at the time, he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Very well then, back to your testimony about the contents of this notebook. Fine. Something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? You seemed a little shocked by something a moment ago. Oh, no. It's alright. I'm overthinking this, aren't I? I don't know. Are you? I'm not. Never think. Names of victims, dates, places, and stuff? What in particular? Well, besides the victim's names, this other name kept cropping up. What other name was that? It's the one I told you yesterday, the same name written over and over again. You mean Asashin? Yeah, that's the one. She's a friend of yours or something, isn't she? Were you even listening yesterday? Asashin, the assassin. What? Like a killer, you mean? Gregson was the tactician, the one who came up with the plan of attack. He investigated the marks thoroughly, finding out when they would be vulnerable and who to use to get at them. But the person actually executing his plans was someone else, you're saying? If that's true, then the Reaper does indeed start to sound like an organized group of vigilantes. Ah, then perhaps what it said on the passport document. Permission for the applicant and one additional person to travel. Could that additional person have been? Clearly the assassin who was meant to take Seishiro Jigoku's life. Gina, can you confirm that against the final entry that listed Grouse and Seishiro Jigoku? Why doesn't she just hand the notebook over to someone who can read? We'll do that. What name was written? Oh, well, that's the only entry that didn't have a name next to it, as it happens. What? It just had like a question mark or somewhere there, I think. In other words, Gregson himself didn't know the identity of the assassin in that case.
But Gregson was the one making the plans, was he not?
Oh, how infuriating. A nameless assassin. Namai no nai. Assassin. Now, what's the Japanese word for assassin? I mean, I guess you could say assassin. Oh, I'm thinking hitokiri, but that's specific. That's specific to Kenshin. Could be. It could be that he was trying to track down the assassin. Yeah, we don't actually know for sure that Gregson is a bad guy. We also, and I said this at first, and it's been in the back of my mind the whole time, we don't know for sure that Gregson is dead. We have a picture of him lying on the ground with blood. All of this could be fake. He could not actually be dead. When we got to the scene of the crime, there was no body there.
Hold it!
So I suspect that he might still be alive. And you're saying that the mark listed was Seishiro Jigoku? That's what it said. Funny name, if you ask me. And I thought your name was odd. So pleased to have lost my crown there. Mr. Jigoku is the presiding judge of Japan's Supreme Court of Judicature. I remember the man. He came to our country as a visiting student 16 years ago.
Studying international law and diplomacy under your tutelage, Lord Strongheart.
That bearded young fellow was a very able man, I must say. So Lord Strongheart was Judge Jigoku's mentor. If I'm not mistaken, he returned to Japan 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, after that fateful case. Precisely. In the aftermath of the Professor case, his repatriation was organized immediately. It's a mystery why such a man would be listed in the inspector's notebook. I didn't think it was possible, but the mood in here's got even worse now. Maybe I'll just keep talking. You do that, Gina. There was a note about him being a criminal that got away. He was found to have committed... It wasn't perjury that would have sentenced him to death. Was it contempt of court? Or was it perjury, now that I think about it? What do you mean a criminal? Judge Jigoku's no criminal. Well, don't ask me. I don't know nothing about it. Oh, do you remember what Father told us? That Judge Jigoku did once appear in court here in Britain. It was related to the Professor case, I'm sure. Yes, of course. You're right. Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. He got a little carried away and actually managed to break the witness stand. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. Ah, okay. No freedom of speech. I see. Window tax and no freedom of speech. That's what their country's all about.
It was a pitiful situation, yes. I had forgotten all about it, but I prosecuted that trial too, as it happens.
You did?
It was considered to be an adjunct to the professor proceedings, you see. But he was acquitted after being told to make reparation for the damage he caused to the stand.
And there you have it. Do any of us?
Have what?
Surely the accused hasn't forgotten his own rule. That there's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper in court, guilty or innocent alike. But no! Are you suggesting that the reason Judge Shigoku was targeted for assassination? The man was sent back to Japan immediately after that trial. The Reaper had no time to do his work. But then, 10 years later, the mark returns to Britain once more. Perhaps now you start to see just how vindictive the Reaper is. Come on, that's absurd. To take someone's life for that? Isn't the whole premise of the Reaper absurd? Killing those who have been found innocent? Oh, my mom's calling me. Hang on. Okay, I am back. Thank you, Azaleus, if you're still here. Thank you for the raid. For raiding while I was AFK. My mom called, and her and my dad are on vacation with, like, all of her brothers and sisters. Like, they all had a vacation together, and she was like, I normally don't, call to, while I'm on vacation. She's like, I just had to, start filling you in on what's happened. My uncle, one of my uncles, was in a car accident. He's okay, but his brand new car, 2022 car that he just got a few weeks ago, was totaled. And everyone, they're all, staying together or whatever. All of them have COVID except for her and one of my uncles. What are you gonna do? So she was going through the whole process and telling me, each and every person who, this person was feeling sick, so they got tested, and then it was okay. Now the rest of us should get tested, and it's just everybody got it from each other. Whoever it started with. Nobody is seriously ill. I believe all of them are vaccinated. But they're also all older, in their 60s, and have, the assorted health issues that come with, so it's something you'd like to avoid, but they did not avoid it. So they all have it except for my mom and one of my uncles, and I think there were two people who didn't have the opportunity to go get tested yet, but everybody else, including my dad, all tested positive. So there's that. That's a fun vacation ruined. Because the last time she went on vacation, she did get COVID that time, but so did both of my aunt and uncle that she was seeing and their daughter. And it's like, yeah, just she's like, nobody's gonna want to go on vacation with me anymore. So, two for two. Well, no, they go on more vacations than that, but I guess usually it's just her and my dad, so it doesn't count. So that was me getting caught up with what's going on with mom and everything and the family. Everyone, I believe, is going to be fine, but still, crazy times.